I'm going to begin this talk with a very important question to all of you. Tell me, what is your weirdest memory of eating pav bhaji? Like, what can it be? Like, an upset stomach the next morning? Or you had too much of it at a wedding and embarrassed yourself and your family? Okay, I'll tell you mine. I have been forced to have pav bhaji with 50 other Indians, Gujarati uncles and aunties, at the security gate of Johannesburg International Airport. It's true, it happened. And we were blocking the entrance. There were people walking in with their trolleys, and they were dodging the pav bhaji pieces on the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gujju Tours and Travels Limited. This is what happens on these tours. They promise to give you Amras in Amsterdam, Puri in Prague, and Patra in Paris. It's actually the tagline of one of those companies. And it's funny because not just me who's embarrassed and out of place, even the monuments and installations at those places feel claustrophobic. Because they're mobbed by 50 Indians from all over. Yeah, and it's a riot over there. Children are running around, and aunties are getting pictures clicked. Guju aunties, they will get their pictures clicked everywhere. Forget the scenery, them with the scenery, that is important. So if you go through their phones, this is what you get. Same pose, same smile, okay? And just the background keeps changing. Fountain, mountain, toilet, temple, river, animal. And even their clothes are the same. Because all of this happened in one day. Why? Because Guju Tours and Travels want to maximize one day. They want to make the most of 24 hours. You have to do everything, including eat pav bhaji at strange places. There was a trip to Switzerland in my first year in college, when I was old enough to protest. And we were in the town of Engelberg. How many of you know about Engelberg? Okay, 1, 2, okay. It's a beautiful town. And what these tours and travel companies do, they take you to a main city or a town, and from there they take you to surrounding places for the day trip. So we were in Engelberg, and Guju gang was packing off to Mount Titlis, which is covered in snow, and they love playing in snow. They'll do anything for snow. So they were going to Mount Titlis, and I had seen snow before. I was not very excited and thrilled about that. So I sat my mother down, and I told her, Mom, can I please excuse myself from this atyachar for once? I don't want to go through that again. People throwing balls at each other, and it's okay. So I told her I'll be fine, I'll be safe. And after they went away, I hired a bicycle, and I roamed the entire town by myself. That first experience was so liberating, I can't tell you. Going through the entire circumference of Engelberg, passing by local people, local shops, food joints, workplaces, industries. I also sat by a river, listened to music, had a long conversation with an old man there. I also played football on field with the local boys. And I discovered a very cool cafe where I ate pizza and discovered different types of cheese. Basically, I had tasted blood because it was an entire new experience for me. And I had swore to myself that day that at least once in my life, I'm going to take a solo trip. That day, fortunately, came about 3 years ago, where I quit my comfortable advertising job. I've been in advertising for 6-7 years before that. And I took out all the money from my bank, and I just packed off. Of course, I had to field questions from elders and relatives, all sorts of questions. Are you okay, beta? Are you depressed or something? Will you be fine? Will you be safe? All their doubts were cleared when I came back, stronger, emotionally, physically, mentally, generally, and now even professionally and financially. So I think it worked out well. What I'm about to say now is not for uh, wanderers who have backpacked around half the globe. Is not for them. This is not for those explorers who've been there, done that. This is for students like you who are bound by rules but want to step out and experience what it is to travel by yourself at least once. And for corporate slaves who are chained to their desks and designations for most part of their lives, and they want to venture out at least once. Because I have spoken to some of them, and there's always that they all want to go out and do this thing once at least because they see it in Imtiaz Ali movies and it's very aspirational for them. But they are a little afraid. If you want to take a solo trip and you need one strong reason to do so, here I'm going to give you 7. Okay? 7 reasons, according to me, why you must take a trip alone by yourself at least once in your life. So I'm just going to write these down. Remember when you were born, the first thing they did to you was tie you with a cloth. Right? They mummified you and they suffocated you basically. You were very happy inside your mother's stomach, right? Doing all sorts of backflips and dances and pokes, and you were having fun. And the world around you adjusted to your actions. Arey, the baby's kicking, so let's do this. Once you came out, you had to follow their rules slowly. And so they tied you up completely. And they only release that cloth when they know that you are learning the ways of this world, little by little. Each one of us right now has an invisible white cloak around us. And what is this cloak? It's conditioning, patterns, comfort zones, fears, favorites, friends, jokes, everything that you're familiar with. When you're moving, you don't move just by yourself. You take your world and your aura and your energy and everything around you, right? You have absolutely no idea how many patterns you're caged in. The way I'm walking right now, the way I'm talking, taking pauses whenever required, all these are your patterns. And you roam with this. This is the invisible white cloak. You all roam around with this wherever you go. You never step out of it because you're so comfortable in it. So, to be able to take the first step out of that and just get rid of the cloak, it requires a lot of effort for you to be wanting to let go of it. And when that happens, when you truly get out of your invisible white cloak, is when point number 2 happens. More of everything. You see more, you do more, you think more, you start talking to yourself more because you have nothing else to do. Right? A lot of people who travel by themselves, initially they get very scared because that cloak is not there, no? If I'm passing by a great scenery, there is no one next to me who I can share that joke with. There are no crutches around you, right? So what you automatically do is you'll stare at that scenery for a while longer, right? You'll take that experience a little more in. You will make a note of it or draw parallels, or it may trigger off some past memory or imagination. So after the initial fear of what am I going to do, how am I going to do this, I have nothing to do, you take in your surroundings and you become aware of them a little more. And in that process, because you're talking to yourself more, when you see so much of the outside world with different eyes, you turn those eyes around and you discover a world within you also. Because there is a world inside all of us, which we are not aware of. It's a debris of all your conditioning. The core of the white cloak comes from within, right? So you have no choice but to speak to yourself and understand yourself better. What is it that I like? What is it that I don't like? Oh, are these my patterns? Do I take the first left step every time I walk on the steps? What are my patterns? What is the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at this? Is it that third standard poem that... So all this is a world within which you forgot about. Yeah? Which you almost forgot about. So you talk to yourself more and you discover yourself more. What also happens is you talk to people who you haven't spoken to before. It can be the bus conductor, it can be some passers-by. You also get to know about really, really local stuff that's not on the map, that's not on Lonely Planet. From the bylanes that will take you somewhere else, to what food to eat, to what all you can do here, how to maximize it. You completely let go of yourself and become one of them. Which brings me to the third point. You rediscover yourself. So I'm going to talk about fears, strengths, and goals in a slightly fresh manner. I'm going to make an effort. What are fears? It's something that you're afraid of, right? An insect or dark, whatever. I don't think fear makes you uncomfortable. I think fears make you comfortable. Fears are the core of your comfort zone. That's true. When you are afraid of something, you eliminate the possibility of going near it, which means you can sleep on that comfortable pillow saying, I am not going to go here. It's not there at all. So it's so comfortable. I'm not going to take that flight. I'm not going to go near a cockroach, right? It's your comfort zone. Fear is not uncomfortable because you haven't experienced it, because you don't know it. You haven't gone near it. You haven't taken it in or fought against it. So when you face all those fears and when you try to wriggle yourself out of the core of your comfort zone, the question comes, how do you battle it? Is where your strengths come into play. Two simple words: survival instincts. Okay? We are programmed and built in a way that we will adjust ourselves according to the environment. We cannot change the environment. We shouldn't. We have to adjust according to the environment, right? So when you face your fears and when you are in uncomfortable situations, so to say, you find the strength within you to deal with them. You didn't know that exists within you because you never even confronted it, right? Now you're like a matador trying to get a bull in control, and you don't know that it's possible. It was possible in Jungle Book, it's possible in Life of Pi, it's possible in real life. These are real stories. There are lots of stories where people have come out of the most difficult or uncomfortable situations. So who's to say that you already make a judgment for yourself that I can't do this? You find a way to do it because you have no other option. We know goals as that one sweet pie, right? The target, the bullseye. I think the best way to define goals is not by drawing a circle, but by chipping away pieces from the bigger circle. When you know what you don't want is when you get closer to what you really want. So when you're all by yourself, you have no option but to visit corners of your insides which take you back to all the things you've done professionally, education-wise. And after that, at least you know what I don't want to do in life now. Try doing that. When you're away, you'll automatically know what you don't want to do. That's a very important part of finally knowing what you want to do. And here I am. TTT, Terribly Tiny Talkies, was sitting there. I just had to open my eyes and shut it to what I didn't want to do. I had lots of advertising offers from agencies, well-paying jobs. I even had an offer from Google to join as a brand manager. But storyteller first, writer first. Let's just solve that because I really want to do that. The biggest monster there is, it's called what if. What if I would have taken that trip? What if I would have spoken to that girl? What if I would have studied here or gone there? this doesn't let you sleep at night because you never did it. You never gave yourself a chance and jumped. That regret, I didn't want to live with because I have had pav bhaji, once at Johannesburg Airport. I don't want to have pav bhaji again. I wanted to have discover different types of food, local foods, local people, sports, whatever it is. So I decided for myself that I don't want to look back, and I would regret if I would not have traveled at least once, because then I would have been much, much poorer in all regards. When you do these things, it's a great conversation starter, it's a great icebreaker, it separates you from the rest, and this is something all of you want. Even if you say no to it, it's the truth is you want to become cool in your social gatherings, right? So for selfish reasons, you should take a solo trip once. Point number 6 is my absolute favorite. How many of you been to Kodaikanal? Okay, great. It's a very nice, quiet town. So I was there, and for the first time, instead of a homestay, I was staying in a hotel. And my first night there, I'm sitting by myself having dinner, and suddenly I hear loud music. Very, it's not expected in a town like Kodaikanal. So I go to my window and I see like a car coming into the compound, and 4 guys wearing white skull caps, high-fiving each other, take out their luggage and check in. My conditioning, my upbringing, world events tells me something bad is going to happen now. Something destructive, so I avoided them for those 2-3 days. I avoided running into them. I avoided any sort of contact or crossing them in any way. 2 days later, I am walking to the market by myself, and on my way back, I don't realize it's very dark. It's pitch dark. And after 7, you can't see anything. So I have to take that walk back. There are no lights, no horses, no rickshaws, nothing. All I can see is a faint light in the distance, which is my hotel, about a kilometer away, and I have to take that walk back. So I'm walking with my fingers crossed. My battery is low, so I can't even switch on the torch. Okay, and I'm afraid I'll bump into an animal or slip or something like that. Somehow I managed to go reach halfway. And from behind, I see a car coming, and I am hoping it doesn't bully me or do something strange. The car stops next to me. It's the same 4 guys, and say, "You're staying with us, right? Just hop in." So I went into the car, and when we get down, I thanked them. They said, "Nahi chalega. You have to join us for dinner." So I agree because I have no choice. So I freshen up and I come back to the dining table. As soon as I join them, they take out a box of mithai, sweets, and they open it. I say, "What, is there something special?" And they say, "Eid Mubarak." I still have goosebumps when I'm thinking about this because I judged them on day 1. Yeah? And what happened ultimately is we ended up having a great time together that evening. And we ended up pulling each other's legs and high-fiving, and I became one of them. This brings me to the last point, which is unlearning. What happened in that incident is that I had learned in my mind that certain sections of society can be some way. It was fed through various sources. But when this incident happened, I had to absolutely strip those learnings and adopt what the truth was in front of me, right? So the first step to learning something new is unlearning, which is a very important point for any sort of parent here, is to allow their children to learn by themselves because they don't like being told what to do. The best gift you can give your children is by telling them, "Ja Simran ja, ji le apni zindagi." Thank you so much.
Guys, please give a big round of applause
My
once
cloak is
again
here.
for Chintan sir.
Thank you.